A Session with Uncle Sidney, one of his animal stories by James Whitcomb Riley. Now, Tudens, you sit on this knee, and, scuse it having no side saddle on, and, Jeems, you sit on this, and don't you wobble so and chug my old shins with your coppertoes, and, all the rest of you, range round someway, ride on the rockers and hang to the arms of our old-time splint-bottom carryall. Do anything but squabble for a place, or push or shove or scrouge, or breathe out loud, or chew wet, or knead taffy in my beard. Do anything almost. Act any way, only keep still, so I can hear myself trying to tell you, just one story more. One winter afternoon my father, with a whistle to our dog, a shout to us, his 2 boys, 6 and 8 years old we were, started off to the woods, a half a mile from home, where he was chopping wood. We raced, we slipped and slid, reaching, at last, the north side of Tharp's cornfield. There we struck what seemed to be a coon track, so we all agreed, and father, who was not a hunter, to our glad surprise, proposed we follow it. The snow was quite 5 inches deep, and we, keen on the trail, were soon far in the woods. Our old dog, Ring, ran nosing the fresh track with whimpering delight, far on ahead. After following the trail more than a mile to northward, through the thickest winter woods we boys had ever seen, all suddenly he seemed to strike another trail, and then our joyful attention was drawn to old Ring, leaping to this side, then to that, of a big, hollow, old oak tree, which had been blown down by a storm some years before. There, all at once, out leapt a lean old fox from the black hollow of a big bent limb. Hey! How he scudded! But with our old Ring sharp after him, and father after Ring, we after father, near as we could hold. And father noticed that the fox kept just about 4 feet ahead of Ring, just that, no farther, and no nearer. Then he said, "There are young foxes in that tree back there, and the mother fox is drawing Ring and us away from their nest there. Oh, let's go back. Do let's go back." We little vandals cried, "Let's go back, quick, and find the little things, please, father." "Yes, and take 'em home for pets 'cause, Ring, he'll kill the old fox anyway." So father turned at last, and back we went, and father chopped a hole in the old tree about 10 feet below the limb from which the old fox ran, and, bless their little lives, there, in the hollow of the old tree trunk, there, on a bed of warm dry leaves and moss, there, snug as any bug in any rug, we found 1, 2, 3, 4, and, yes sir, 5 weeny-teeny baby foxes, with their eyes just barely opened. Cute? My oh, the cutest, the most cunning little things 2 boys ever saw, in all their lives. "Raw weather for the little fellows now," said father, as though talking to himself, "raw weather, and no home now." And off came his warm old wammus, and in that he wrapped the helpless little animals, and held them soft and warm against him as he could, and home we happy children followed him. Old Ring did not reach home till nearly dusk. The mother fox had led him a long chase, yes, and a fool's chase, too, he seemed to say, and looked ashamed to hear us praising him. But, mother, well, we could not understand her acting as she did. And we so pleased. I can see yet the look of pained surprise and deep compassion of her troubled face when father very gently laid his coat, with the young foxes in it, on the hearth beside her, as she brightened up the fire. She urged, for the old fox's sake and theirs, that they be taken back to the old tree, but father, for our wistful sakes, no doubt, said we would keep them, and would try our best to raise them. And at once he set about building a snug home for the little things out of an old big bushel basket, with its fractured handle and its stoven ribs. So, lining and padding this all cozily, he snuggled in its little tenants, and called in John Wesley Thomas, our hired man, and gave him in full charge, with much advice regarding the just care and sustenance of young foxes. "John," he said, "you feed 'em milk, warm milk, John Wesley. Yes, and keep 'em by the stove, and keep your stove a-roarin', too, both night and day. And keep 'em covered up, not smothered, John, but snug and comfortable. And now, John Wesley Thomas, first and last, you feed 'em milk, fresh milk, and always warm, say 5 or 6 or 7 times a day, of course we'll grade that by the way they thrive. But, for all sanguine hope, and care, as well, the little fellows did not thrive at all. Indeed, with all our care and vigilance, by the 3rd day of their captivity the last survivor of the fated 5 squeaked, like some battered little rubber toy just clean worn out, and that's just what it was. And, nights, the cry of the mother fox for her young was heard, with awe, for long weeks afterward. And we boys, every night, would go to the door and, peering out in the darkness, listening, could hear the poor fox in the black bleak woods still calling for her little ones in vain. As, all mutely, we returned to the warm fireside, Mother would say, "How would you like for me to be out there, this dark night, in the cold woods, calling for my children?"